when we finally saw the data, we were really shocked because their total energy expenditures, the calories they burn per day, was no different than folks in the US. It was exactly the same, in fact. And let me even crazier, perhaps. It's actually less than we burn here. But it happens to be that they're a bit smaller body. People tend to be a little bit shorter, a little less body weight, right? So we have to correct for the body size differences. Once you correct for the body size differences, there's no difference at all.
No difference.
No difference between Hadza men and women in the U.S. Completely the same.
How do you explain that? They're moving so much more. Why don't they burn more energy?
Yeah, well, we've been trying to track that answer down for about 15 years now, this is what we. It's helpful when we have these sort of big, hard questions to think about the evidence and then think about the explanations separately, right? So the evidence, the data, are really clear. Groups like the Hadza, because we've done this in other populations too. Groups like the Hadza don't burn more calories than folks in the U.S. or elsewhere. I mean, not all. I mean, there's variation across cultures. Some are a little higher, some are a little bit lower. But it's not the case that more activity leads to more energy expenditure across cultures. It isn't just the simple story where the more active cultures are burning more calories at all. That's the observation. Our hypothesis is, our explanation for that is that people's bodies are adjusting to their activity levels so that if they spend more calories on activity, which they're certainly doing, they're certainly spending more energy on activity than we are, their bodies must be spending less on other tasks, on other physiological tasks, so that the net, total end of the day cost is not any different, right? So they're sort of balancing the books. It's like an energy budget. And if you spend more on activity, that means you got to spend less on something else because the total budget doesn't change, right? And so we've been tracking that down, and it seems like that's the case. And so we look at different sources of evidence. One piece of the puzzle is that when we look at people who exercise compared to people who don't, we see that people who exercise have less inflammation. They have, reproductive hormones like testosterone and estrogen are at a more moderated level. They respond to stress less. They have less adrenaline response and less cortisol response to stress. So all these little things that are helping them save calories, right? If you have less inflammation, your immune system is saving calories. It's not as active. If your testosterone and estrogen levels are a little bit lower, you're going to save calories because those hormones promote cell activity. So if you have less of them, presumably you're saving energy that way. Less epinephrine, adrenaline, less cortisol. We know that is associated with less energy expenditure. And so we think that's how the body is sort of, balancing the books.
It's fascinating. And I think, it could be easy for somebody to take away from that, exercise doesn't matter. Why should I even move around? But I'm sure that's clearly not the case, right? For other health conditions, you already said lower inflammation, right? There's a lot of reasons. Is that kind of how you think about exercise? More of like, we get a lot of health benefits from it. It may not be the primary thing that helps us stay sort of lean long term.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So what I think, it's these adjustments your body's making, they are in large part the reasons that exercise is so good for you, right? So those adjustments are great for your long-term health. And there's so many good reasons to exercise, including your mood, cognitive health, staying sharp as you age, keeping your muscle mass up. All those things are really important too. But what it also means is that exercise is not a great way to, quote unquote, boost your metabolism, right? It's not going to have the impact on the calories you're burning every day the way that you think it does. It just isn't going to move the needle very much, if at all. And because of that, it's not a great tool for weight loss. It just doesn't have a big effect on weight, period, your exercise regimes. And so, yes, you should exercise, but if you want to think about weight, then the diet side of the equation and the energy that you're eating is really what you want to focus on.